Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm bringing you guys Week 16 running back start or sit decisions for fantasy football in 2020. Inside this video, I'm going to go over every single game around the NFL this week, from the Christmas game on Friday all the way until Monday Night Football. Now, before we get into it, I'd like to ask if that at any point inside this video, if you are new to my channel and you end up enjoying this video, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as if you are not new to my channel, you've seen a couple of videos, maybe you've seen all the videos, please make sure you hit that like button down below. It is greatly appreciated by me. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Week 16 running back start or sit decisions. We begin with the Vikings at the New Orleans Saints Christmas Day game. Now, I'm kind of 50-50 on if I like a game, to be honest with you, to be on Christmas, because it feels like the kind of day where you're not really trying to watch football, you're trying to hang out with your family, but then again, they kind of do the same thing on Thanksgiving, so I'll probably enjoy it as it's going on. Vikings at the New Orleans Saints. There is no Thursday night football this week because they're playing Friday for Christmas, because Thursday is Christmas Eve, and I think not as many people would watch, I guess, is the assumption of the NFL. In this one, I'm going to be starting both running backs. This is a no fucking brainer at all. The New Orleans Saints are without Michael Thomas and are with Drew Brees. It is a no-brainer to start Alvin Kamara. Dalvin Cook, one of the better running backs in fantasy football, is a must-start every single week. Even if the New Orleans Saints defense is decent against the run, you're obviously going to be firing out your stud Dalvin Cook as well as your stud Alvin Kamara. I'm going to be sitting down Alexander Mattison as well as Latavius Murray in this matchup, because neither of those guys are the starters, and they don't get as much work as you would like if you were going to be starting them in your fantasy football lineup, especially in your championship game. Next game here, we got the beginning of the Saturday games. Buccaneers at Lions, the early Saturday game. In this one, I like Leonard Fournette for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, it appears that Ronald Jones is going to miss at least one more game here up against the Detroit Lions. This opens up a nice spot for Leonard Fournette to eat yet again. Leonard Fournette had quite the good game last week up against the Atlanta Falcons, and I expect him to continue on playing very well this week up against the Detroit Lions, which is one of the easier defenses to run on in the NFL, especially if the Buccaneers are really committed to giving the ball, which it seems like they are, considering LaShawn McCoy and Keyshawn Vaughn aren't really kind of competitors in Leonard Fournette's sphere. For the Lions, I like DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is a every week start, in my opinion. Last week, I was kind of fading DeAndre Swift a little bit. I wasn't as bought in coming back from the injury, but he did end up playing and played very stout. I like him better than Leonard Fournette, but both these guys are going to be starts for me on the week. I think DeAndre Swift has the opportunity to get a whole lot of receiving work if they're down up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For the Bucs, I don't like LaShawn McCoy. Just like I said, Leonard Fournette is really the upper tier running back in this system. When you have Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones has taken that upper step to Leonard Fournette, which makes Leonard Fournette kind of unstartable on a weekly basis. But the same thing happens when Ronald Jones is out, where Leonard Fournette is just a top-tier running back in compared to a guy like LaShawn McCoy or Keyshawn Vaughn. So to me, this is an easy start on Leonard Fournette and a sit on LaShawn McCoy. For the rest of the Lions running backs, when DeAndre Swift is healthy, it just seems a little bit careful, a bit crazy to be starting a guy like Kerryon Johnson or Adrian Peterson. Sure, Adrian Peterson will probably end up scoring his way into that end zone and completely bend over DeAndre Swift. That would not very much surprise me at all. But at the end of the day, I still think DeAndre Swift is the much better start, and I try to stay away from Kerryon Johnson and Adrian Peterson in your championship game unless you're playing in Week 17. But if you are playing Week 17, please make sure to notify your commissioner that that is not a good idea, and you need to start playing Week 16 Fantasy Football Championship. Next game here, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals, the mid 4 o'clock afternoon game of the day for Saturday. In this one, I like Jeff Wilson for the San Francisco 49ers. It appears Raheem Mostert is going to be out again. When Mostert's out, it gives a high chance of volume to go Jeff Wilson's way. Wilson Jr. seems to be the next man up in this 49ers system, which is very good for the running backs that are going to be the guys getting a lot of touches in this backfield, especially up against the Arizona Cardinals. I'm very confident in Jeff Wilson as long as Mostert sits, but it appears like he is going to be missing at this current point in time. For the Cardinals, I'm going to be firing up Kenyon Drake. Now, we did see Kyler Murray kind of reinvented last week, right? We saw early on in the season, this guy was one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy football and in the NFL. Recently, due to that shoulder injury, he was kind of sluggish in the games and just not playing like the Kyler Murray 5'6" guy who just skull fucks a defense on a weekly basis. He was kind of just teasing it, and then he's handing it to Kenyon Drake. But with that said, up against the San Francisco 49ers, you're not going to beat that defense by just passing 7 million times. You're going to have to get Kenyon Drake involved, and with touchdown upside for Drake, he's definitely worthy of a start here up against the Niners. The other Cardinals running back, Chase Edmonds, is going to be a sit for me. There was a point in this season where it almost seemed like he was a better better start on a weekly basis than Kenyon Drake, because Kenyon Drake was really very bad. Very, very bad at points in this season, and it was looking like the guy was a complete and utter bust in your fantasy lineup, but recently he's looked much better, and that has really hurt Chase Edmonds' value for fantasy, so he's going to be a sit. Final Saturday game here, the Miami Dolphins at the Las Vegas Raiders. In this one, I'm going to be starting up Salvon Ahmed for the Miami Dolphins as long as Gaskin misses, is what that should say. It shouldn't say sit if Gaskin plays. Actually, that is what it should say. So sit Salvon Ahmed if Myles Gaskin ends up playing. In my opinion, I don't think Gaskin's going to end up playing, but if Gaskin plays, then you obviously have to play Myles Gaskin. He is the head honcho back in this backfield. Brian Flores likes to use that running back one, that workhorse back system, even if Ahmed, by all counts of it, really isn't worthy of being that guy, right? When you don't get drafted highly in the draft, I believe he was undrafted, you're not going to be a guy that teams go crazy for, right? Is like the workhorse back, but he does have the potential to be it in this backfield. Up against the Raiders is a very good opportunity for Ahmed to put up another 100-yard performance this week, given Gaskin ends up missing. Lynn Bowden is also worthy of a start, in my opinion, with the back of this Dolphins team just really, really banged up. Gesicki, hurt. Devontae Parker, hurt. Now, it seems like they're both going to return this week, but are they banged up enough? And if they're still banged up, then Lynn Bowden could really see a nice revenge game here up against the Las Vegas Raiders, who ended up cutting them at the start of the season. Josh Jacobs is obviously must-start category. The Dolphins' defense is very good up against the pass, but up against the run, they aren't as good, so I do feel comfortable starting Jacobs this week. I'm going to be sitting down Matt Breida for the Miami Dolphins, though he did he did carry the ball for 80 yards last week, but I just don't see that happening again here up against the Raiders and Devontae Booker. Unless Josh Jacobs is dead 6 feet under, taking his big dirt nap, there is no way in fuck I'm starting Devontae Parker or Devontae Booker. Colts at the Steelers is the start of the Sunday slate. I'm going to be firing out both Colts running backs in this matchup. Jonathan Taylor has been on a fucking roll for the Indianapolis Colts, and don't be scared up against the Steelers, because the Steelers defense looked bad last week up against the Cincinnati Bengals last night. Will they look better this week? I would assume so, but at the end of the day, Jonathan Taylor has been so safe, getting so many touches, so many opportunities inside of this offense that would be impossible to sit him. Now, Nyheim Hines is kind of teetering on that start-sit where you're kind of confused, right? Because Hines does get a lot of work in the backfield, so I think the Steelers are going to be able to score in this game, and he'll be able to get a lot of dump-offs to push his points up, but he's not a grade A start, like a must-start category, in my opinion, for Nyheim Hines here. Up against the Steel Curtain, I'm going to be sitting down James Conner. The Indianapolis Colts run defense does look pretty strong, and Steelers running back James Conner has really struggled as of recently, especially since the Steelers O-line is not the Steelers O-line of the past, where Le'Veon Bell had 9 years to just stand there, just get the ball, just stand there, look around, wait for a hole to fucking open, wide open like Moses himself, split it, and then just run through it. That does not happen anymore. That's the Steelers of the past. The Steelers of now, the O-line fucking crumbles like Humpty Dumpty falling off the goddamn wall, and James Conner just stands no chance half the time, so I'm going to be sitting him down here up against the Indianapolis Colts. Next game here, we got the Atlanta Falcons at the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I do expect the Atlanta Falcons to put up some points on the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's not going to be in the running back room because Todd Gurley has been demoted. He gets a 3 thumbs down from Raheem Morris. Just completely get the fuck out of here, Todd Gurley. We all knew Todd Gurley, or at least I knew, Todd Gurley wasn't going to be the guy for the future in Atlanta. He wasn't the guy this season either. He did have some bright spots this season, but that is going to come to an end as Ito Smith has been garnered as the running back one on the team, so that makes them both sits here up against the Kansas City Chiefs. For the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire likely to miss this week, and well, he's definitely missing this week, likely to miss next week as well, but should be good to go in time for the real NFL playoffs, so that's good for them. But obviously Le'Veon Bell this week up against a bum Falcons defense is a must start, in my opinion, off the waiver wire. Next game here, we got the Chicago Bears at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, there's definitely questions in this game at the running back position for the Jacksonville Jaguars, where based on what I've seen on Twitter, based on the fantasy football doctors, the guys that talk about fucking the injuries of fantasy football players, the real NFL backs that are doctors in real life, they were telling me, or based on, not telling me because I don't talk to any of those guys, but based on what I was reading from what they said, it seemed like James Robinson's going to be missing this game, and that's going to be a substantial injury. But then the injury report's telling us that it seems like he may be good to go this week up against the Chicago Bears, and in that case, I am firing James Robinson up against the Chicago Bears. Why is that? Sure, the Bears defense is tough, but James Robinson is simply just a workhorse back like no other in Jacksonville and is locked and loaded to get a zillion carries every game, so he's impossible to sit sit in my mind. David Montgomery has unleashed super fucking sane like he's in Dragon Ball Z. David Montgomery has been dragging his balls all over the defense's face because this guy has been unreal week in and week out for the Chicago Bears offense. I expect David Montgomery to have yet another big game here up against a bad Jacksonville Jaguars defense. For the Jaguars, Divine Ozigbo, I talked about him in my waiver video. I would pick him up, but unless you're super down bad, down terrible, there's no way in all hell I'm firing out Divine Ozigbo to try to win my fantasy football championship. Dare Ogunbowale, I believe is how you say his name. Ogunbowale. I'm sorry if I pronounce his name wrong. I used to just call him Dare Ogunbowale as a joke, and then I actually learned how to say it, and then he hasn't been relevant as of recently, so I kind of forgot how to play it. But Dare Ogunbowale is a decent player, but I just feel like Divine Ozigbo would be the one getting a majority of the touches if James Robinson ended up missing. Next game here, we got the Cincinnati Bengals coming hot off of a win up against the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Houston Texans in Houston. If you guys have ended up enjoying this video thus far, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. I would really appreciate it. If you're new, and if you're not new, please make sure you hit that like button. So I'm going to be firing up David Johnson in this matchup, but it kind of scares me. Johnson stormed like he was on the beaches of fucking Normandy last week up against the Colts and got like 109 receiving yards. This guy was like, I don't even know. He was just the David Johnson we've seen in years past when this guy was like a top 3 pick in fantasy football. That's the David Johnson we saw. It was unreal. I'm not sure if I believe in that happening again, but with the injury to Duke Johnson, I think David Johnson might be prone to have another humongous game here up against the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's why I'm going to dub him as a start. For the Bengals, I do like Giovanni Bernard, everyone's favorite Italiano running back, up against the Houston Texans. Not a great run defense. Giovanni looked very good last night up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I will be confident in starting him up this week. Samaje Perine back up for Bernard is not going to be getting too much work in this game to be worthy of a start. Next game here, we got the New York Football Giants at the Baltimore Ravens, and yet again the Giants hold the Dolphins' fate by their fucking hands. They've got our nuts just squished between their hands, and if the Giants can't win this game, I am going to hate the Giants forever because they fucked us over as a Dolphins fan. We need them to beat the Browns to help the Dolphins seeding. Now we need them to beat the Ravens to make sure the Dolphins can get into the playoffs. So please, Giants, please win this game. But with that said, that's probably not going to happen, and the Ravens are probably going to slap them around like Floyd Mayweather is going to slap the fuck out of Logan Paul in the ring. This should be very easy. J.K. Dobbins is a must start in my opinion. It does seem like Gus Edwards is still going to be getting work, so if you are in a deeper league, I would tout Gus Edwards as a start, but I'm not ultra confident that he is really going to be getting as much work considering how good Mr. J.K. Dobbins has looked as of recently. For the Giants, Wayne Gallman got locked up just like his name was fucking Bobby Shmurda, because it's Bobby, bitch, and he was just locked behind bars. Could do absolutely nothing in that game last week up against the Cleveland Browns, but I do expect him to look a bit better here up against the Ravens, but not a high-end start based on how much he got locked up last week. Gus Edwards, again, if you're in a deeper league, could be worthy of a start, but I'm kind of looking the opposite way of the Gus bust this week. Next game here, we got the Cleveland Browns at the New York Football Jets. Now, hallelujah, it's fucking raining men. Last week, the Jets, literally, this was the biggest upset I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes, besides some crazy shit out of March Madness, when the Jets beat the Los Angeles Rams. I genuinely could not believe that my eyes even saw that. As a Dolphins fan, I love that. I like that like my name was Kirk Cousins, because now Trevor Lawrence likely not going to the Jets. Hilarious, unless the Browns somehow get skull-fucked by the Jets that are just fired up and ready to go. We all know who's going to be fired up. Big Dick Nicholas Chubb in this matchup up against the bum-ass Jets. I don't think what happened to the Rams is going to happen here, and I think Nick Chubb's going to go a bit crazy in this one. Kareem Hunt, always a value flex, value RB2. You just fire up every single week, and there's no doubt about him not getting like 10 PPR points plus up against the Jumbo Jets. I'm going to be setting down Frank Gore because he's probably going to get you like 8 PPR points, right? But he also could get completely shut down by Myles Garrett, so I'm kind of nervous this week for Mr. Old Man Frank Gore, the guy who's been playing the game since the game has been invented. Next game here, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Washington Football Team. Shout out to Dwayne Trash Can Haskins for making it rain on them strippers and then getting fined and likely never going to start a game in Washington or in his NFL career because the guy fucked it up by going to the strip club like his name was James Harden. Hilarious. Magic City on a Monday. Shout out to Washington Football Team quarterback Dwayne Haskins. That's hilarious. The guy is just fucked up so many times. Feels kind of bad for the guy because I love Dwayne Haskins. The video's hilarious. There's just two strippers right in his face, and the video wasn't even like 480p, like right where you can like barely see who it is. This shit was shot in like 4 fucking K. It was hilarious. You could clearly see it's him. Very funny. Now I'm going to be starting up Mike Davis in this matchup up against the Washington football team. To me, this is kind of a no-doubter. The Washington football team defense is good, but Davis is just so heavily involved for the Panthers, and it seems like Christian McCaffrey has really sunken his dagger into your fucking heart because it does seem like he's going to miss this week up against the Washington football team. J.D. McKissick, not an excellent start this week, but up against the Panthers, you can definitely run on them, so I'm pretty confident in McKissick. I'm going to be sitting down Peyton Barber, because unless they're on the goal line and he vultures McKissick, he's not really all that useful. Next game here, we got the Denver Broncos at the LA Chargers. A beautiful matchup. Not, but actually pretty nice for fantasy football. Austin Eckler should be able to get loose in this one. I don't expect the Broncos to lock up the Chargers like the fucking Patriots did a couple of weeks ago. I expect this game to be back and forth, nail-biter game that ends with one of these teams winning and you didn't even give a fuck because both of these teams mean nothing in the NFL, but Austin Eckler should be able to have a huge game here up against a not-so-hot Denver defense. For the Chargers, Melvin Gordon here. I just said for the Chargers. For the Broncos, that is, because Melvin Gordon used to be a Charger, so a revenge game for Melvin Gordon. I like him here. It seems like he's really stepped up above Lindsey as of recently. Now, will it go back to Lindsey cucking him? Would not surprise me at all, but I am a lot more confident in Melvin Gordon now going down the stretch of the season, so I will be firing Melvin Gordon up in this game and sitting down Phillip Lindsay, and unless Eckler somehow gets vultured again like he normally does, Ballage will be useless in this one. It's kind of hard to figure out when a vulturing is going to occur in a fantasy or in an NFL game. Next game here, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. For the Cowboys, Tony Pollard got not one, but 2 tugs like his name was Robert Kraft at a massage parlor last week. What a game out of Tony Pollard. If Ezekiel Elliott ends up missing again, this is going to be the league winner. The league winner. He will drop 25 points again here up against the Eagles. No doubt in my mind if Zeke misses. If Zeke plays, I don't fucking like playing Zeke. I'd probably sit him. Miles Sanders is a must start this week up against the worst defense in the NFL against the run in the Dallas Cowboys. Boston Scott's going to be a sit for me because unless he vultures, there's really no need to be wanting to start him, and Ezekiel Elliott, like I said, is a sit even if he starts. I just don't feel confident at all in Ezekiel Elliott as of recently. Next game here, we got the Rams at the Seattle Seahawks, and in this one, I like Chris Carson. Now, the Rams defense has looked pretty good as of recently, besides last week up against the New York Football Jets, in which Frank Gore ran a train on that ass like his name was John Cena. So there's definitely a possibility Chris Carson lights it up and smokes one like his name was Snoop Doggy Dogg. So I do think Chris Carson is worthy of a start, strictly based on a volume standpoint. For the Rams, Cam Akers is out for the count. Darrell Henderson, likely to be the head honcho, but I don't know. Malcolm Brown, vulture stuff. It's just, you can't really believe in it at all. So I'm just going to sit all of them. I'm not going to put my championship hopes in a backfield that I cannot read on a weekly basis. I just don't know. I really do not know. It seemed like Akers really had a stranglehold of this fucking backfield, and now with now with Akers out, I just don't know what to do. Henderson would be the guy that I lean if I had to play one. But man, oh man, I am clueless this week for the Seattle Seahawks, or for the Rams backfield, because Henderson did nothing last week. Next game here, we got the Titans at the Green Bay Packers. In this one, I like Derrick Henry for the Titans, and I like Aaron Jones for the Packers. Why? Because these are the head honcho running backs that got you to the fucking championship. You start them. Workhorse backs. Derrick Henry in cold weather, impossible to tackle. Probably running back one on the week. Aaron Jones up against the Titans defense, not very good. Should be a high-scoring game. Aaron Jones should do well as well, and I'm going to be sitting down Jamal with 2 A's for the Packers because I don't love him up against the Titans, considering his workload has really decreased as of recently. And final game, Monday Night Football. The Bills at the New England Deflatriots. The Patriots without the playoffs. What a fucking joke of a franchise the Patriots are. Fuck you, Bill Belichick. As a Dolphins fan, this is hilarious. I'm sorry if you're a Patriots fan, but I will dance on your grave real quick because this is amazing. Devin Singletary has looked better recently. Zach Moss has really been struggling, and I feel pretty confident in Zach Moss to not do. Zach Moss has not been playing well. Sorry if I worded that wrong. Devin Singletary has been playing well. So I'm actually pretty confident in Singletary up against the Patriots defense this week. For the Patriots, Sony Michel, James White, and friends in the Patriots are just not very good. The Patriots offense is limp dick, so I'm not going to be starting either of those guys. They need some Viagra to get it going. So thank you guys all so much for watching this video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure that you slap that subscribe button down below. I would really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I love you all so much. Thank you guys for watching. I didn't do an ad in this video, but overlaydfs.com helps me pay the bills. Make sure you check them out. I love them, and I love you. 11,000 subscribers, 11,200 now. I really do appreciate it. Gonna hit the moon next year. Thank you guys for watching. Let's hope you can eat a W in your championship. I love you guys as always. Good boy.